Welcome to biology class. We'll be looking at the ecological factors affecting habitats. Learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to describe ecological factors that are common to all habitats. Secondly, you should be able to describe ecological factors affecting terrestrial habitats. Thirdly, you should be able to describe factors affecting aquatic habitats. Last but not the least, you should be able to describe the relationship between soil types and water holding capacity of soil on vegetation. Make sure that at the end of the lesson, that these 4 points, you will be able to assimilate them. Now, before we proceed, let's look at what an ecosystem is. Ecosystem is a community of living organisms interacting with the non-living components of their environment. The non-living components are called abiotic factors. For example, temperature, wind, soil, gases, and nutrients. These non-living components or elements are called abiotic factors. The living components or living organisms of an ecosystem are called biotic factors. For example, humans, plants, animals, and bacteria. These are biotic factors. Now, the living and non-living, which is the biotic and abiotic factors that are found in the ecosystem, they are interdependent. These factors, if we change or remove any of them, it will affect the ecosystem. Let's just look at an actual example. If you look at a clock, if you remove a wheel or spring from a wall clock, will it work the same way? Of course not. Based on function of a component or part that we remove, the watch will malfunction or stop working. This is how an ecosystem works. If you remove any part of the ecosystem or any component of the ecosystem, it is going to affect the other one. The other one will be affected. Now let's look at an actual example. A fish that is in a water tank. A fish that is in a water tank is interacting with water, which is an abiotic factor. The fish itself is a biotic factor. If we separate the fish from the tank, it will change the temperature of the water to extreme heat or cold. This will result to the death of the fish. In this example, we learn that a change or absence of an abiotic factor, like water or temperature, will lead to the death of the fish. Now let's look at a complex example. A plant that is being surrounded with good nutrients. A plant is a biotic factor. Abiotic factors are there, like soil, that will help the plant to grow. The sunlight is there. The carbon dioxide is there. Now, after the plant dies, what will happen? It will be decomposed by microorganisms. Microorganisms will decompose them, bringing nutrients into the soil. This nutrient will be added into the soil. It will help also for regeneration or for new plants to grow well. So you see that the availability of these nutrients will add to the fertility of the soil. And it will help for subsequent plants to grow well. So in this example, we learned that the absence of biotic factor like plant will affect the soil. And also, it will help to add fertility and also regulate the ecosystem. Now, let's look at the abiotic factors that are common to all habitats. Abiotic factors that are common to all habitats, we have first one, rainfall. Rainfall, which is the amount of condensed water that falls from the cloud in a particular time. It is an abiotic factor that is common to all habitats. Temperature, the degree of hotness or coldness of a body, that is measured in degrees Celsius or centigrade. It's an abiotic factor also that is common to all habitats. We have hydrogen ion concentration that we normally call pH. Yeah, the pH level is common to all habitat and regulates the distribution of different plants. Their location, it has a major role to play. It affects different habitats. Now we have the wind, air in motion, which brings about rain and dryness. Without the presence of wind, there won't be presence of rainy season or dry season. Now we have light intensity, which means we know that light is the ultimate source of energy. All living organisms, they depend on light for them to survive. Animals that feed during the day, we call them diurnal animal. Or an example of diurnal animal, we have cattle, we have hawk. These are some examples of diurnal animal. Why those that are active during the night, we call them nocturnal animal. Now this is based on their activity, time they work on based on the presence or absence of light. So we have some nocturnal animal like cockroach, bat, termite. Now pressure is another abiotic factor that is common to all habitat, which is force per unit area. Now, having known the ecological factors common to all habitats, let's look at the ecological factors that are common to aquatic habitats. First, we have turbidity, or we call it transparency. This refers to the amount of suspended materials inside water. The transparency of water, which is being regulated by the amount of suspended materials that are being embedded inside water. Now we have density, which is the mass per unit volume of a substance. We have salinity, which is the amount of dissolved salt inside water. That's why you see a fresh water which has little or no amount of salt in it. Or why we have something like brackish water that has variable amount of salt. And we have water current. The flow of water in an aquatic habitat also determines distribution and the survival of different organisms that lives in aquatic habitat. Now we have waves. Wave is another one that is very, very important because the movement of water in an aquatic habitat is being determined by wave. Water waves and water current, they have major roles to play in the survival of living organisms inside water. Now, nature of substratum. Now the substratum is very, very important because the substratum is the nature of the floor or bed of water body. Determines the nature or amount of organisms that are found there. Now, any water body that has a muddy floor or muddy bed contains large quantity of organism. It contains large quantity of organism because this muddy substratum contains organic matter, and this organic matter helps for different organisms to grow, rather than a sandy floor or rocky floor that lacks this organic matter. Now, let's look at the ecological factors common to terrestrial habitat. The ecological factors common to terrestrial habitat, we have relative humidity. Yeah, is the measure or percentage of water vapor in the atmosphere. The percentage of water vapor in the atmosphere. We have land surface, whether slopey, flat. It has major role to play in the distribution of plants. We have fire. It's also an abiotic factor common to terrestrial habitats that cause a lot of even desertation. It plays major role in these areas. Edaphic factors are also major factors that plays role in terrestrial habitats, where you see soil types, soil content, soil pH, soil structure, and soil texture. You see different types of soil that we have. When we have clay soil, we have loamy soil, we have sandy soil. This is based on the nature of the soil, the structure of the soil texture, the water holding capacity of the soil. Yes, and in the subsequent test, you will see more details on the water holding capacity of the soil. And I implore you to study the book in that guided note very well, so that you can be able to use it to answer some of the activities below. It will help you to and facilitate your knowledge in these ecological factors that are common to all habitat, aquatic habitat and terrestrial habitat. Having known these ecological factors that are common to all habitats, all these ecological factors, they have different instruments that are used in their measurement. Yes, I'm not going to tell you that now, but if you is already in your notes, and you have to study it very well because you will see it as a quiz. I'm just giving you a brief thing on it so that you will be aware that you have to do your best so that you will do excellently well in this course. Thank you. See you next time.